Good morning. I want to thank you for joining us this morning as we talk about opening back the church here at Mile Straight Baptist. And this has not been an easy decision as we try to make plans, but I just want to start by, Tommy, just asking you what all has gone into kind of researching and planning as we think about reopening the church.
Well, you mentioned it this morning in family time that we don't have all the answers. And certainly if there's ever been something that's humbled us, this is it, because we don't know what's best. We don't know how best we should respond to these situations. And so we are listening to our leaders, national and local leaders, and trying to get insight from them in what's best. We are also listening to what other churches are doing, trying to gain insight from them. And then along with that, talking with our pastors here at Mile Straight, our deacons, and working through a lot of prayer and just details. And I'm not a detailed person, and so this has been very tedious for me, but trying to come up with a plan. While we know this is not the perfect plan, we at least have got to start somewhere.
And a plan that could change.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a plan that, based upon how things progress, may happen sooner than our target date. It may happen later than our target date. We just don't know that at this point. But we have to have somewhere to start. We've got to have a place in which we're focusing on and saying, okay, here's when we're going to open, at least this is the target date, so that we're working toward it. Otherwise, that time's going to come and we're not going to be ready.
Exactly.
And what we desperately want, excuse me for interrupting, what we desperately want is to have this be an incredible day.
Right. Yeah. And again, one of the reasons we are doing this is so that even as a staff, we can have a date out there that we're working towards, that we can compare, so that we want everything to be as perfect as possible when you guys come back, and we're excited about that time. And so why don't you kind of get a little bit more into details about our plan?
Okay, let me throw one thing out. I was talking with Gary Steele and Jeff Jenkins this morning just about some thoughts, and one of the things that Gary mentioned was to let people know that there's still an option. That we say, okay, we're coming back on such and such a date, we're shooting for that date, doesn't mean that everybody's got to.
Right.
There may be some people that because of health issues or just a little bit of fear still left, that they want to wait it out a little longer. That's perfectly fine. We're not issuing a decree saying you come back or you're removed from the church roll. Absolutely not. This is simply a guideline for us, and then each person must make their own decisions based upon that guideline.
Right. And I know some people are chomping at the bit to get back, and others are a little more concerned. And I understand that. And again, people's health conditions do play a big part in that. So again, as we unveil this plan, this might not be able to be the plan for everybody to start exactly when we first start, but we're hopeful that, in the near future, everybody will be able to worship with us again.
Absolutely. So we're looking at a target date of June the 7th. While we understand that churches are not under the same restrictions that other people are, and technically under the law or under the orders that have been issued, we could open sooner than that. We've decided to look at a target date of June the 7th, which will give us more time to be prepared.
Right. Yeah. Right. And one of the things that we're doing is as we're studying some of the guidelines and some of the resources we received, one of the things that I can encourage is being able to take everybody's temperature before they come to church to make sure nobody's sick. And as we research that and order thermometers, we realize you can't get them overnight now because everybody's wanting them. So that's going to take a few weeks for us to get back, but that is something we plan to do just to make sure, again, we want to provide a safe environment for everybody that comes.
Yeah, and that's the reason our cleaning crews have been working, a lot of overtime. Everything is being sanitized, the back of the pews, the carpets, the nurseries from top to bottom, the walls, the carpets, the toys. Everything has been sanitized. We want to provide the safest environment that we possibly can. Now, we understand that the bacteria can't live that long, but we're just not taking any chances.
Right. What about social distancing as far as this worship service?
Okay, so what we're looking at is potentially going to multiple services, or maybe also using our children's auditorium and having a room that where the sermon message would be piped in. We're not positive exactly how that looks yet, but what we do know is that in the auditorium, whether that be this auditorium or our children's auditorium or both, which is most likely the case, we will have different pews or seats blocked off to where we can keep it as far as possible from each other, which means our capacity is going to be lowered, which also means then we're looking at possibly additional services, some additional service time, so that we don't have the fullness in the auditorium like normal. We would like to expand that out, once again, just for safety's sake.
Well, Jason asked, could we do like a 7 a.m. service? He loves to get here early, so maybe Jason. No, he didn't.
You know, it's funny as that is. That would be my preference, and I know that there are a lot of people in our church that feel that way too. So we may want to consider that for Jason's benefit.
But again, like you said, providing multiple options. So again, we can keep social distancing. We can do what our leaders are recommending us do, but at the same time, still be able to get the church back together.
Yeah, and what we're looking for is this day to be an incredible celebration, a day of thankfulness and celebration of what God has done to bring us back together safely. And so I cannot wait for that time. Honestly, speaking to an empty auditorium is one of the most difficult things I've had to do. And I know you felt the same way. It's just hard. It's so easy to get distracted, and I cannot wait till there are people back in this auditorium again.
There's nothing like telling a joke or trying to use some humor, and it's like crickets in here, you know? Nobody can respond, but...
and even though you're positive it's hilarious,
yeah, maybe my jokes are like that even if people are here. I don't know. But what can people watch and do to kind of prepare for June the 7th?
I think the biggest thing you mentioned this morning in family time is to be praying, because it is certain we don't have all the answers. We would just ask that you pray for God's wisdom, to be honest. We want to know what's best. We want to know God's heart and God's desire in this. Our desire is one thing, and while that's a big deal to us, what God desires is more important. So we wish you would be praying consistently and continually that God would give us wisdom and direction so that we know what's best. We know God's timing in this, and so that when we come back together, we have the assurance that this is God's plan and this is God's direction, and that will make that day even more special.
Between now and June 7th, will there be future updates?
Yes. In fact, we'll be meeting weekly starting this week with our other pastors and our deacons to begin walking through this. And as different plans come out and as different plans are made, we will share those with you, keep you informed. And
we still plan to do our service online on Sunday and then continue to do our family time devotions during the week.
Yes.
So people can still watch, and we hope that you have enjoyed those. And I mean, I know that, you know, it's been a little different to just stay at home and watch a service and in your pajamas possibly. And there's a lot of benefits to that, but there's so many more benefits to being together as the body of Christ.
That's so true. In fact, God commands it, that we come together. And the reason for that is not just so that He has something else to tell us to do, but because there's such benefits in encouraging one another, in holding each other accountable, and just that heart of worship together. There's something special when we come together and we sing together about the goodness and mercy of God.
So thank you so much for tuning in this morning. And like Pastor Tom said, we will be further updating later. If anything changes as far as our target date, we'll communicate that with you as soon as we know more information. But the main thing, we please just ask you to pray. Pray that God would give us wisdom on the future and exactly what we need to do to provide a safe environment for our people to worship together. Thank you so much for watching.